We wanted to host a conversation that will bring more attention and understanding to something that happened in the 2016 election. So what you're at today is the discussion centered around Russia, racism, and the targeting of African Americans during the 2016 presidential election.
How do you think today's discussion went?
I think it went amazing. I was really pleased to have Asha Castleberry come from Washington, D.C., national security expert, Terrell, Starr, our 2018 Global Fellow with GSA, come out from New York. It was amazing, so rich, so much depth, helping us understand what happened during 2016 and how to prepare for 2020.
And so to suggest that we should only be concerned about politics that affect us, about local politics, about the Chicago mayor's race, which are all very important issues, but they ignore the reality that we are truly global citizens. And so this kind of conversation is always very exciting for me. I'm very proud of the work that Ms. Faulkner is doing, particularly obviously with GSA and beyond. And so I want to give her a round of applause again for convening this conversation.
How do you stay up on subjects, and what moves you? Why are you so passionate about having these discussions? How do you continue to stay motivated?
So I am a firm believer that we are all connected, and whether we realize it or not, we're all connected. And so what happens in Afghanistan, in Russia, in China, in Jamaica, it affects me. So I find it to be my duty as a citizen to want to know about these things. Dr. King said very famously that we all have the moral responsibility to be educated, and for that reason I try, particularly in this generation and time where we have so many opportunities to be educated, to learn as much as I can about as many places as I can, and then try to educate other people. And I think these kinds of conversations are a non-traditional way. We don't have to be sitting in a classroom to be educated. There are a lot of other ways to do it, and this is one of those, I think.
If we really want to deal with how America became so vulnerable to this, there is no fixing of social media that will stop it, okay? Because ultimately, whether it's in person, whether it's on social media, racism is a very visceral kind of thing, right? And it's something that taps into your feelings. And it doesn't matter which tool is used to manipulate them, okay? The social media part is important, but it distracts us from the fact that America has not been able to overcome its original sin, which is racism and slavery.
You were here today at the discussion, and we're talking about Russia, racism, and the effects that it's having on, the world, basically. And so what activity can we follow online that corresponds with Russia? How can we see this being more evident on social media?
Okay, as far as if you want to go online and have some reliable sources, what I can do is, one, you can follow me at Russian_.com, but also what I will do is I will share some good organizations that are following. Like one that's good is the Atlantic Council, for example, and those types of places have experts where you can find people who can delve into the nitty-gritty of it, and not only just have 240 characters, or 280 characters, I guess, right now. You can see their links to their work.
During our shutdown, okay, you had the Chinese, you had the Russians, and the Iranian people pretty much targeting us through cyber threats, right? And we were definitely very vulnerable during that period of that shutdown, because you had Department of Homeland Security not really in place. The State Department shut down as well, but you had other agencies open, so it's like a partial shutdown, like defense, whatever. But we were at a vulnerable state as a result of a couple of agencies being shut down, and also you saw with the TSA situation. So, and the Russians and the Chinese took advantage of that.
How do you feel that this discussion and these types of discussion about Russia and racism are helping Americans, and especially young Americans, having these type of discussions?
Oh, I think it's very helpful because it's needed, right? You don't really see this in many education programs or just in community centers, et cetera. So there's not a lot of access to these type of conversations. So I think it was very helpful. And I was so pleased to see the amount of people that actually had some sort of feedback, questions, and concerns, because I have been part of circles of people of color, and some of them just don't have any feedback. So I've been really impressed with this audience.
So how do you think your approach in these discussions and conversations relate to the millennials? Do you think they're connecting to what is going on?
Right. So I'm in between millennial and a Gen Xer. And so I think we try to frame the discussion where they feel a part of it. We don't try and talk at them. We try and talk with them. And so a lot of this is centered around, what do you think? How do you feel? And this is what happens. And then have them tell us how they feel. Like, as you saw, one of the questions was, how do I take this back to my community, to people in the millennial generation, which was a great discussion. And it's just sharing that information, leveraging social media, leveraging your spaces and talks and curating, just offline discussions anywhere and everywhere.
And also when you're going into like the 2020 election, definitely understand the issues, understand the concepts. You can hear a lot about why is it comfortable to be a socialist, right? Or what is it about populism? Really understand those type of titles or situations, because you don't want to hop on a title that you may not understand what it's all about.
I think the most important thing for Black people to do and to engage these conversations is to bring your full self and be proud of your full self. Because if you work in any aspect of America in this economy, I think that there's a way that these white power structures try to convince us that our voices and our opinions and our experiences don't matter, and that you have to graduate from a certain university, you have to be affiliated with a particular organization, you have to be a part of a particular class of people in order for your insights to be contributing to the foreign policy discourse. And I just want to say that's simply not true.
I think every time I see a panel where I don't see a Black face and they're talking foreign policy, it motivates me. And so for me, it's constantly pushing inclusivity into global affairs and making sure that our people feel part of that conversation, and not just being at the table and a part of it, but helping to lead and narrate, because I think that our unique trajectory makes us leaders by default, and we have a level of resiliency that we should, give to the world. And so I'm just motivated by this mission to see diversity at the highest global level. I'm Aprisha Faulkner, the founder and CEO of Global Strategists Association, and you're watching and listening to Urban Broadcast Media, the voice of Black intellectualism.